Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the inaugural Broll Auctions and Sales Retail and Showroom Expo. It's the 15th of September 2021. We're out here live in our virtual studio room. We're at our head office in the green room. Very excited for today. My name is Keegan Oshka. I'll be taking you through a whole host of properties today. We truly have some exquisite properties ranging from retail to car showrooms throughout the board, you know. Ish Hendricks, my chief auctioneer, he'll be hosting us today as well. He'll be assisting me, taking me through the ropes. Yeah, we at Broll Auctions and Sales pride ourselves on being South Africa's premier commercial property trading platform. We truly do offer the X factor when in assisting clients with their property disposals or acquisitions, and we'll be happy to assist you with all your needs. We are not only passionate about property, but we're passionate about people. Ronald is a true testament to that, our senior broker today. He's been in the game for more years I've been born. So yeah, very excited to chat to Ronald. To his right is Mark Kessel, hospitality and retail expert. Really is a Jack Russell in the trade. And yeah, very excited to your point of view. To Ish's left is Jason Lee Collins, quite a youngster in the game, like myself, but with a wealth of experience already. He's already made some inroads in some good listed funds and can assist you with a whole range of properties. To my right is Timothy Council, should I say. He's a retail expert, fuel stations, anything of that nature, Tim can assist you with. Also known as the King of Durban CBD. So yeah, let's kick things off, Ish. We'll start with your Ital Tile showroom at the Glen Shopping Centre, just opposite it. You know, retail, you don't get a better retail site, highway exposure on the N12, prime location. And yeah, can you tell us a bit more about your property?
Yeah, thank you, Keegan. And might I add that you look decent for a change. Your blazer, and you look absolutely wonderful, and it's
cleaned up.
You've done a great job so far. I just hope it continues now, because Keegan does tend to go off the rail, but that's why I'm here, just to kind of steady the ship as we have this conversation. But thank you, Keegan, and this is a great initiative. Obviously, we're being streamed live right now on all the platforms, so it's quite an exciting adventure. So, Keegs, thank you for hosting it and putting it together. So yeah, so the property it's Glen Eagle. So currently the Ital Tile are the owner occupiers of the property. They are relocating their business to a different location. It's quite ironic, it's quite funny, because you know, when I was filming outside the property, it's right next to the N12 highway. So I was filming and I had to shout because of the noise from the traffic. That's how much volume you have going past that property. So it's a great location, right opposite the Glen Eagle Shopping Centre. So you've got dealerships, you've got builders' warehouse there as well. So location-wise, you just cannot beat it from a retail perspective. They're relocating. It's ironic because inside the property, I'm sure you've been to an Ital Tile showroom before. I mean, I've bought many tiles from a Ital Tile in my life, incorrectly, and I think I've overpaid many times, but that's not this conversation. It's beautiful. You know, you can eat off the floor. It's got great height. So it really is a top-class showroom space, and you've got a lot of parking outside. So it's a vacant opportunity. You've got just under 2,000 square meters, a 5,000 square meter stand as well. So it suits a showroom, furniture. It could be a motor dealership, motorcycles. There's so many uses for the property because it's got the great zoning as well. Yeah. So it's quite an exciting opportunity that we're taking to market.
Yeah, it does sound very exciting. I know when I took the trip with you to the showroom, you're not lying when you say you can literally eat off the floors. When you started taking out your sandwich and putting it on the floor,
yes,
I was a bit worried, but...
I remember. And I remember you met me there and I gave you a bus fare to go back to the office afterwards. Yes, yeah.
It's a long trip down there.
Yeah, but you made it. I'm quite happy about that. Yeah.
What sort of investor is going to look at this property? Who's it going to be suited towards?
Yeah, great question. I think number one, obviously owner-occupier, so people that are actually trading, retailers, furniture type of businesses that want to come in there and operate from there. I think it's perfect for an owner-occupier sort of space. But also investors. I mean, you could put a tenant in there. There is a lot of interest from a tenant perspective. So You could place a tenant, a retail tenant in there. So I think it appeals to both. But I do think the owner-occupier sort of is the bang target for the property, because it's just so perfect to start trading.
Yeah, it just needs the right owner to come in and unlock that potential value, you know.
Yeah. And you've got a great massive billboard which is onto the N12 highway, so you can advertise your wares on that billboard. And obviously, it's, you know, from an investor point of view, it's a great income generating sort of space. So
yeah. 100%. Ish, we don't want to keep the other brokers.
I apologize. Can we talk about the back of the building? Oh, no, we can't. Okay, that's fine. Carry on.
Let's take a fly over through to North Riding, where Jason Lee is handling this property. Oh, sorry, we're going through to Ronald's property first in Vereeniging. Ronald has been dubbed as the king of Vereeniging, so you know what the market conditions are like. Ronnie, can you take us through where the market is and where you think it's going?
Vereeniging has changed quite a bit over the last few years. There's a lot of work to be done in Vereeniging, but there's a few players in that area that are trying to turn it around. I mean, that property that you see there, the Motors Group, it used to be the heart, call it Vereeniging's Motor City. All the car dealerships were in that node. What's happened now is the new dealers have moved a little bit up the road into new developed properties, and the second-hand car dealers have taken over there. There's not many open spaces there in terms of second-hand car dealers, and there's a great opportunity to most probably have the best second-hand car dealership in that whole node.
Yeah.
It covers 3 stands. The property is like nearly 2 acres, and it's geared perfectly for a motor dealer. But having said that, it can be also open to other guys, other retailers in there. It's great showroom space. It's got great open space, investors' opportunity, maybe to multi-tenant it or take over yourself. Got workshop space in there, parking, everything you can think of for motor dealer or retail space. And perfect position. I mean, it's right opposite McDonald's. And when McDonald's choose a site, you must know they choose the best sites in the neighborhood.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Ronnie, going back to the property, I see there's not only showroom, it takes us all the way into workshops and a large yard. Can you tell us a bit more about the inner details of the property?
Now you're getting clever. So it's got a newly developed showroom space for new cars. So basically the home of Isuzu and Opel at the moment, the Motors Group. And they got a new showroom space. And then they've got like a second-hand space, which is covered. And behind that, they've got a huge workshop space, which with hoists, etc. But they're removing all their stuff to their new site. And it's perfect. It's got ablutions, it's got parts rooms, it's got, I mean, every amenity that a motor dealer wants it's there for them, for the taking.
No, perfect. It sounds like a great investment for someone to get into the heart of Vereeniging, you know, busy street there, high street exposure. Yeah, let's see what we can do with that property. And Ish?
Ronnie, just in terms of, I think it's about approximately 5,000 square meters of space, right?
Yeah, so
What sort of values are we talking about, rate per square meter?
So a user, owner-occupier is going to pay a little bit more. So it's hard to put a number to a property at the moment just because that property is going to be sold vacant. So there is great value for somebody that's coming in there. I mean, the rentals are going around 65, 75 rand a square meter. And looking at that, you're looking at around 20 million rand on the property. The guys are keen sellers. I don't want to take away anything from anyone interested in the property. And they want to look at serious offers. So they're not going to give the property away, but they want to look at serious offers.
Just about a 3,000 to 4,000 rate per square meter, that sort of level.
Yes, I would guess around 3,000 to 4,000 is perfect on the note.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let's move on to North Riding. Jason Lee, you have this property, you're running on it, taking inquiries. We can fly over there. In the heart of Kaya Sands, opposite Northlands Deco Park, you know, that park absolutely pumps. We took a drive through there the other day, and it really is busy. encouraging to see. This warehouse, I've never seen anything as high as these eaves.
Yeah.
GLA of 7,500 square meters, with a massive earth size of over 2 hectares, so ample yard space. Tell us a bit more about this property, Jess.
Yeah, no, thanks, Keith. I mean, I'm quite excited about this property. I mean, if you're looking at that picture that we just flew over now, if you're looking at just your industrial space there, you've got about 3,300 squares of each component. So, I mean, you've got over 6,000 squares of industrial warehousing there. You've got 9 meters to the eaves. You've got your crane infrastructure, and there's also a decommissioned crane included in the sale, a 5-ton crane. But what I'm excited about on this property is the yard. You've got a 5,000 yard as it is. But if you come a bit closer to the entrance of the property, you'll see an office space with some showrooms there. And if you take that out, you've got an enormous yard. I mean, an enormous yard. It's perfect for any owner-occupier. A logistics company would be absolutely perfect, or even a manufacturer. I mean, it's just off of Witkoppen, and it possesses perfectly for someone who's trying to merge into the North Riding area, or just particularly be an owner-occupier in the area.
Yeah, 100%. And just leading on to that, from that little statement you made there, who would you say is the most suited owner-occupier at the moment? What type of industry would you be looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, in my opinion, it would work perfectly for distributions. I mean, with that yard edge, a logistics company, you're close to the major arterial routes, the N1. It's perfect for a distribution center, something like that. But on the contrary of that, it could be used for manufacturing as well. It's so versatile in what it possesses. It's got the height, it's got the natural lighting, it's well maintained, it's got the yard. It has everything that you need for an owner-occupier for many levels. So it's a versatile property, but I would say a logistics company would work absolutely perfect there, or a manufacturer.
Yeah, fully agreed. All right, Ish, anything else from?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Straydon Park is also quite close by,
Yeah.
but Straydon Park is so it's so done. I mean, there's so much. It's so crowded there.
Yeah.
North Riding is a similar location, but you've got a massive yard and
Yeah.
good space. So I think you're right. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity.
It's a
And
fantastic.
a great access. I mean, Pretoria, Durban in the middle there, so it just works from industrial.
Yeah, and it's been a wild trading area. I mean, that area has shown resilience, especially through COVID, and it's a prime investment. It really is a prime industrial investment.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, moving on. Let's fly over to Edenvale. We've got a prime showroom on Van Riebeeck Avenue. Huge passing trade there. I live just up the road, and traffic there through COVID and everything. It just pumps. Mark, you got a motor showroom on auction at the end of this month with a bit of yard space at the back. What kind of property is this, and tell us a bit more about it.
So Keegan, so it's on 138 Van Riebeeck Avenue in Edenvale. As you mentioned, huge passing trade. It's kind of in the hub of your motor retail, second-hand car dealer, parts trader, and so this is available. It's the Hyundai dealership, which consists of the showroom of approximately 1,800 squares of GLA. Then you've got a workshop of approximately 800 squares plus offices and that backyard space, which can easily house in excess of 185 cars, as you can see. So it's an opportunity for an investor to either move their current operation, if they want to expand in the area, and an opportunity like this doesn't really come readily available. So, if you take the replacement value of this property, a savvy buyer is definitely going to pick up a very good opportunity, coming to our auction and presenting us with an offer on this property. So it's either for an owner-occupier or potentially a investor. That's property.
And that backyard space, just from first glance, it looks like it lends itself to quite a few different uses. Obviously, zoning permitting, you'd have to get a bit of rezoning there. But there's ample yard space there. What would you see a few uses?
They're using the part of the yard space for their commercial vehicles, for servicing of commercial vehicles, their trucks, and obviously the bigger vehicles. It would lend itself to either a kind of a storage facility, which I think is needed in the area, being the proximity close to the malls, etc. So you got your car dealership, as I said. So it's a very versatile property. You know, it's according to one's investment criteria, you can chop and change it and see
Yeah.
what you want to do. Yeah.
No, sounds like a great property. Haven't been there myself, but you know, from what you describe, it does sound like a really sound investment. You know,
Absolutely.
Tim, you've done some work in Edenvale of late, and you still have some ongoing matters. What do you think the market in that little sub node is doing, and where do you think it's heading?
Look, I think Edenvale's a great area, especially along Van Riebeeck. It's a node which is seeing growth. Even the LSM levels are starting to increase in that area. Vacancies are starting to drop, and yeah, it's a very interesting node at the moment. Compared to it's one of the CBDs, if you want to call it, within Johannesburg that's actually done pretty well, and it's actually on the come up at the moment. There's a great improvement district happening in that area as well, which is really starting to have an impact on value in the area as well.
No, sounds good. And kind of the best use you see for that property? Would you
Look,
keep
I
it as a motor dealership, or maybe change it up a bit?
I think, yeah, motor dealerships, that strip especially is well suited to motor dealerships. But like Marcus said, quite interestingly, self-storage there's a need for that in Edenvale. You know, it's really one of the asset classes where there doesn't seem to be much in the area. So I definitely think it is something that an investor could look into.
Yeah. Mark, what sort of price are we looking at here? What's going to get an investor in?
Well, obviously, as you're well aware, it's going to go to auction. A property of this magnitude, you know, you're looking at a replacement value of just north of 30 million. It's going to go obviously at a cheaper rate, you know, and we're looking at it in the region of between 3,000 and say 4,000 a square meter for this particular property. And it certainly has to be viewed to be well appreciated. You know, it's the pictures don't really do it that much justice. It's as Tim said, it's a phenomenal area, huge passing trade, and it's a versatile, call it investment opportunity with the car showroom in the front. And I do believe with the storage facility at the back, it's a win-win for whoever buys it.
Yeah, great stuff. Any inquiries, again, please contact Mark Kessel for this property. Prime investment. You know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get into that high street retail node of Edenvale. Let's take a fly over through to, I think we're going to Parkhurst next. Jason has a retail site there on the corner of 6th Street. You know, great consolidated urban, 2 consolidated urban with 3 separate buildings. A little bit of vacancy for an owner-occupier, but great income nonetheless. Jace, what's this property about?
Yeah, Keegs, this is quite an exciting one. I mean, as you mentioned, on the corner of 6th and 3 Delon in the popular Parkhurst, I mean, a well-trading retail node. Also been very resilient. This property poses very well for an owner-occupier trying to occupy a small space. Okay, there's 120 squares of showroom available. All right, that can be used as office space, it can be used as showroom. But what's exciting about this is you've got 3 other tenants on the property. So you can occupy the space, still get returns from the other tenants, and benefit both ways. And like you said, you know, it's rare because it's 2 urbans that have been consolidated. In the back, you've got on-site parking as well. On-site secure parking, which is quite a rare thing in Parkhurst. I mean, there's a lot of street front parkages and things like that. But to get parking on a secure on-site in a gated, essentially, property, that's ideal, you know.
Yeah.
We've had this property on auction. We've had offers on the property. The offers didn't materialize as we hoped. So we did push it through, and there is demand on the site. I mean, anyone who wants to get into the retail node, especially in Parkhurst, this is a site to be.
Yeah, I think it points itself straight directly to a first-time buyer, first-time investor, little bit of space to occupy, and you get some great, you know, almost passive income in return.
No, you're 100% correct. And you know, there's no exuberant costs on it. You know, it's not a complicated property. It's a simple property. It's got the main tenants, the 3 little tenants, and there's no exhaustive cost to the owner or landlord.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've spent many a happy hour in Parkhurst myself as a youngster, and I have been quite active with sales. I just want to mention a theme which I think is relevant to this conversation. And Ronnie, I'd like to get your view on it as well. If you look at, take for example, Norwood as an area. Okay, there was a lot of investment in Norwood about 4 or 5 years ago, And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it's become a little bit sort of stagnant. Okay, in terms of value, it's not going where it was predicted to go. That's my first point. The second point, look at Maboneng in Johannesburg CBD. Again, massive investment going in there, perhaps overcapitalizing, but we've seen the Maboneng has pulled back a little bit in terms of value. The thing is with Parkhurst, it's one of the only suburbs, in my opinion, that's actually retained its value. You know, and a lot of that is its location, because it's like in the middle of the entire Joburg CBD, so you've got access east or west or south or north. It's slap bang in the middle. And it's very much supported the retail properties by the Parkhurst community, you know, because it's quite active there.
Definitely.
So a lot of the guys live there and they work there and they just walk home.
Yeah.
And there's massive trade. So I mean, Ronnie, I mean, you know, you've got some business interests in Parkhurst itself. I mean, do you agree with that sentiment in terms of value?
Yeah, I do, because you know what, a lot of guys, investors, they've spent a lot of money in Parkhurst, so they can't see it turn any other way. They want to see it improve all the time, and they're participating in every aspect of Parkhurst. And the people, like you said, the neighborhood supports that area. And it's probably most probably one of the best supported areas in Gauteng anyway. No?
Yeah, fully agreed. I mean, one of the few areas where you can walk and still feel safe. You know, you got private security roaming there, like they're protecting. What's that big fort that in Fort Knox? Like they're protecting Fort Knox.
Fort Knox?
That's what it feels like. I mean, you got private security guards. You know, you almost feel like you've done something wrong. Yeah. So a great area. I think, Jace, you're going to have some good success on this. And
Yeah,
looking
thank
forward
you.
to the auction.
Yeah, me too.
Sticking with Jace, we've got another property lined up. You know, Jace has quite a few lots on this expo. So let's take a fly over through to our next property. Jace, we're going down to George, you know, beautiful part of the country. What's on show here?
So this is actually a prime showroom. I mean, prime. It's one of the industrial parks in George that are upcoming. You know, there's construction taking place, there's nodes, it's close to major arterials. It's very similar to Ronald's Vereeniging property that he spoke about, but it has that workshop component, it has that office component, it has a showroom component, it has everything for someone to benefit from. It just needs that investor. So, I mean, you could be here as an owner-occupier, or you could come in through an investment. I mean, there is going to be a short-term lease in place till the end. We're talking about September next year, 185,000 per month. But it is an absolutely prime showroom. It's got street frontage. It's prime. It's prime in George.
Yeah, 100%. What sort of, are you looking at only the retail, I mean, the motor showroom guys for this, or does it lend itself to different uses?
Yeah, look, I mean, in my opinion, the value lies there for a showroom. Okay, I mean, you could do whatever you want with it. It depends on the capital you're going to put in it. But this property is suited for the showrooms. Its locality allows it to benefit from being a showroom. So I would say this is definitely for the showroom guys. Dealerships, pre-owned, anything along those lines. I mean, motorcycle showrooms, car showrooms. Showrooms isn't just motor showrooms.
Yeah.
There's a large range of characteristics that can contribute to different kinds of showrooms. But I do think something in the motor industry, but not necessarily just motor vehicles.
Yeah, 100%. This one is on sale, private treaty, not going on auction. So please contact Jason for any queries regarding this property. Let's move on, Jace. We'll stick with you. The other brokers, you can go take a coffee and take. Jason has quite a few properties lined up here. We're in Fourways, in the heart of Fourways. That is William Nicol Drive there. You know, you got massive passing trade, huge exposure. This is a newly developed building. It is absolutely exquisite inside. Jace, what can you tell us about this property and what makes it unique from the rest?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a rhetorical question here. I mean, where can you find a property that has direct road frontage onto William Nicol Drive?
Fourways.
Well spotted. I was hoping no one picked that one up. No, but seriously, I mean, the value alone is in its exposure there. Yeah. All right. You've got 14 bedrooms. It's zoned for residential one. It was meant to be used as a guest house. It's 14 bedrooms, sold with all immovables. Okay, I mean, the TVs are in packaging, the beds are in packaging. It's fantastic. It has impeccable finishes. It's clean, it's neat. It's also got parking bays on site for around 22, 23. And again, I mean, even though it's residential one zoning, the value again here could be, theme of the day, showroom. You know, the BP's down the road, you've got the Pro Shop across the road. It's absolutely fantastic for someone who wants to get that exposure onto that William Nicol Drive.
Yeah, and I heard it's going for quite a substantial discount for what you're getting.
Yeah, definitely.
What sort of price are we looking at?
Look, I mean, the mandate has been set quite low. I mean, we've been asking values in the past. It's been on the market in the past. That reserve's been dropped. And essentially what we get on auction day will essentially be the value on the property. I mean, I can't say where it's going to end. I don't really know now. We've got a lot of interest on the property. Where it ends, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that the sellers are prepared to sell it much lower than where it's been pitched before.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Great property. To compare Ital Tile in the Glen to this one, which is cleaner, I don't know. We'll have to have a proper debate.
Well, this property you can eat off the staircase. So
And it's right by Monte Cassino, right? It's right there by that node, yeah?
just carry on down William Nicol. It's a few hundred meters down.
Yeah, cool. Let's move on. I think, Jace, we might have to stick with you here. I'm not actually too sure where we're going. Let's see where the Google tour takes us. Ah, Ish, you're up.
Yeah, this is it, guys. You're right. The highlight of the expo is the Shoprite Centre. So obviously, you know, Tim knows it well. He grew up in a Nova Park, and I'm from Cape Town myself, so we both are very familiar with the property. A very unique opportunity, and you know, it's obviously Shoprite as your anchor tenant. You've seen, and you and I were talking about it this morning. The Shoprite share price, I think, at 189 at the moment. So. You know, it's holding a lot of value. So there's massive value in the brand itself. And effectively what you're buying here is the lease, right? Shoprite have been there for the past 20 years. The current lease expires in 16 months, and you've got 2 5-year renewal options thereafter. So you've got a solid tenant in place. The property, as it stands, is netting about approximately 1.8 million rand per annum. That's netting after expenses and recoveries. You've got 5 line shops as well on the property. So this is a classic investment opportunity. For me, it is a century of the yield. From a pricing perspective, you know, if you look at a 1.8 million rand at a 10% yield, your purchase price should be at around 18, 17 million. We're talking numbers approximately at 13 million rand. So that equates to a 16% yield. So the circumstances around the sale is an opportunity for the investor. Yeah, that's a summary of the Shoprite Centre in Cape Town.
Okay. Tim, what do you know about Hanover Park, and what's the community like? Seriously.
Look, it is a challenging community. It's one where there have been, you know, numerous challenges. But like she's saying, you've got a good tenant. All those residents need to shop at some retail facility. So at the end of the day, this is an opportunity which should be seriously considered, I think, by investors. And who knows, maybe it could add value to the community in some way by bringing in new ownership with a different idea or bringing a different flair to the area.
Yeah, 100%. I think in these sort of communities, you have to work hand in hand with the community
100%.
in order to see maximum value. And
I mean, and Hanover Park has bred superstars. I mean, Tim is an example. He went from Hanover Park to Bishop's Court, and now he's on the stage with his fine gentlemen. So, you know, it's a positive, in my view, the community.
Ish was my neighbor.
Right, Ish. If you have anything else to say about Shoprite, you know, now's the time. But
no, I think I think I've said it. I think the building speaks for itself. The investment opportunity speaks for itself, and what's left is for the viewers to check out the details on the website at www.brolauctions.com.
Nailed that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Ish. And just to correct you, it's yield of the century, not century of the yield. So
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you see, but
now
I
I've
said
got
that,
something
I
up
said
against
that
you.
because I want you to correct me so I get more screen time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's move on. Where is the Google tour actually going to take us now? We are waiting in suspense. Wynberg. Okay, This one I've been taking inquiries on. Mark has helped me greatly in this property. It's a beautiful furniture showroom in the heart of Wynberg. You've got views of Sandton City in the background. You don't get a better location so close to Sandton. You've got M1 exposure to, for easy accessibility. 6,570 square meters of GLA, massive GLA, and really lends itself to a unique owner. I think the value's been unlocked. We've already got the pricing down to a reasonable amount, and I think it's going to really take off the next auction. So yeah, any inquiries you have, please contact me or Mark Kessel for this property.
Just on that point, I mean, you're talking about the height from the North Riding property that I am running on, but I see there that looks like you got even double the height there. Can you just maybe explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there you've got at least 10 to 12 meters of height. You've got a massive concrete slab that kind of divides the building in the center. So that lends itself to multiple stories. Plus, there's mezzanine already fitted in place. So that's 4 stories of storage or warehousing, GLA. You don't get that often. It's quite a narrow warehouse, but it goes all the way down to the end of the earth. And yeah, I think it's just been built in such a way that, it just maximizes space on every front, And right next to that, you've got an absolutely amazing showroom where at the moment they import fine Italian furniture. So it's very well finished, neat tiling, and the owner's just relocating, downsizing a bit, and it lends itself to quite a prestige owner-occupier.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you all agree, that's actually quite symbolic of Sandton in general. I mean, if you're going through Sandton City, Sandton utilizes as much height requirements as they can to maximize on that floor area. I mean, you walk through Sandton and we got these skyscrapers, and that's quite symbolic. I mean, that's kind of like a bit of an industrial skyscraper,
Yeah. You could definitely call it that, and that's quite a unique take on industrial
skyscraper. I mean, you've been involved in many skyscrapers in your life, Mark, and I know that you've got many girlfriends in Wynberg. I hope your wife's not watching the show. You were successful with the Wynberg sale with the Steinhoff matter, so you know Wynberg well. What was the demand like, and what's the appetite like in Wynberg?
So Ish, obviously, with what's happened to the country and COVID and what's happened, there's kind of a resurgence now. Everyone's back on track. The wheels of the economy are turning. The Wynberg Centre, in my view, is the best, call it industrial commercial node in South Africa. You don't get any better position. So the demand's back. People are expanding, be it scaling down and moving up. So there definitely is a demand for well-priced industrial properties. And especially like this particular property that I'm working on with Keegan, it's as neat as a pin. So it can be used as a showroom. We are in negotiations with a few potential investors. And you're on that main road. So you've got retail exposure, warehouse, etc. Everything under one roof. So there definitely is a demand. In my opinion, Wynberg's on the up. And those that are looking to buy should really make a solid investment now. As you correctly pointed out earlier with your Shoprite property, look at the yields. Investors and buyers alike and people wanting to upgrade should realize and take advantage of the low interest rates and the opportunity to buy. So I'm an avid supporter of Wynberg Centre.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Mark. You've got the Wynberg Business District that, upkeeps the whole area. They clean streets, they repair damaged drains. So you got that for you as well it's not often that you find, the community pulling together and actually getting down and doing the dirty work themselves, So just touching on Mark's point there, he kind of talks about the economy and where it's going. Where do you see the retail shopping center node and kind of asset class? Where do you see it going and where is it at the moment?
So yeah, I mean, look, the COVID pandemic definitely threw a spanner in the works across the board, I feel. And I think if you guys can agree with me or disagree if you'd like. But I've kind of seen a shift in consumer behavior towards more convenient retail offerings away from your bigger regional centers. And that has resulted in your kind of neighborhood offerings really seeing value. And your regional centres starting, there seems to be a slight increase in vacancy. But yeah, that's kind of where I see investor appetite, steering towards, is definitely towards the neighbourhood offerings on the market at the moment.
Okay, now some interesting insights from one of the leading experts, so appreciate it. Let's move on, let's take another Google tour, see where we land up. And we are in Lindhurst. Down the road, Lombardy East is just the next node, if you can call it that. We've got an exclusive bootleggers liquor store going in auction. It's a liquidation sale. We're selling it lock, stock, and beer. Movables and immovables will be sold either separately or together, depending on investor appetite. You've got a massive trade, little trade discount center that it's situated in, and some big interest here, hey, Ronald?
Yeah, so, I mean, this property, it's traded beautifully. I mean, for years it operated. And the COVID really knocked in for the seats. So that's put the business into trouble, and now they're looking to sell it. That opportunity opens itself not only to the liquor industry. This property is going to be sold in a number of ways. Either the whole business as a going concern, and that'll include negotiation with the liquidators, the licenses, etc. You get on trading, you buy the stock, the equipment inside, etc. Then it can be sold property alone, or it can be sold with the stock can be sold alone. So there's like a multiple ways of looking at it. But it's not only to a liquor store, it can also open itself to some other type of retail. So very busy node. You've got the Africa Brick and Tile in that centre. You've got JJ's Butchery there, and then they come. You've got a Shell garage on the corner. I mean, it's really a busy node on that node. And it's right on, quite close to the Edenvale Hospital, and it's the junction there where it's got a lot of passing traffic.
I mean, Ronnie, just on that property, I've spent my fair share of time there in the east, even though I'm from the west. Quite contradictory, I know. But that bootleggers itself, could you put something like a fast food industry in there? There's a big neighborhood that needs to be serviced. And just from my understandings, I know you got McDonald's a bit further up, and Steers a bit even further up, and KFC, but could you not turn that into pretty much fast food retail?
My call, I wouldn't go that route. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. It's you've got quite a few offerings up the road and some nice little centres. Unless you restructure that thing, it is a sectional type of thing. So you need to get buy-in from the other different players in that centre. You've got I think more on the retail side as opposed to food. Maybe like a food outlet, like a little U-Save or something like that would lend itself to it. More on that type of thing, with a takeaway component to that.
Yeah.
That JJ's as a takeaway component does very well.
And then, Ronnie, just take us through obviously this is a standalone on-site auction. What are some of the details there? And if anyone wants to get involved, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so it's actually been quite a few inquiries on that property. I mean, we've contacted a lot of people in the thing, and they can get me on my cell, they can get me on my email, or rod@roll.com.
Okay, perfect. And that's the 28th of September, on site at the Bootleggers, 12 p.m. Don't miss out. It's a great opportunity. Ish?
Sorry, did you say lock, stock, and beer?
Oh, sorry. That was the bar I was at last week, so I need to...
So, because I just thought you made up a new phrase. So, like you corrected me with the century, so I just want to correct you with that. Lock, stock, and barrel.
I appreciate that.
No problem. That's what I was trying to get to, but anyway.
I mean, good thing it does work with the type of asset you're working
you've
with,
done well there, Keegan.
Maybe that's my play on words, just being
very
unique,
smart.
as usual. Let's move on let's take a fly over to our next property, please. And here we are in Germiston, heart of Germiston. We have the iconic Lambton Court going on sale. Tim has been dealing with inquiries on this property. Massive, massive, massive GLA of 13,792 square meters, ample parking, and it's really got a good community to back it up. Tim?
Yeah, look, I think I've been in this game for a few years now, and to get assets like this into the market, it's very, very rare. It's definitely a cracker opportunity, well established in Lambton, and well suited to the surrounding community that's supported quite well. I mean, if you look at the tenant mix in the centre alone, that I think would make any investor kind of look seriously at this asset. I mean, you're looking at blue chip national tenants such as Woolworths, Super Spar, Pick n Pay Clothing, Builders Express, Mice Kitchen, and the likes. It's really a great centre, and I mean, it's in terms of income, sustainable income, because it's being as supported as well as it is. And I also think, based on what I said earlier, in terms of what COVID has done to the market, this type of asset is well aligned to that. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a great investment. Obviously need the bucks. But yeah, Ish, you want
Timmy, just in terms of the financials, what are we looking at income-wise,
So look,
expenses-wise?
you're looking at a gross income per annum of just north of 18.2 bar. If you take expenses into account, you're just south of 13 bar. And in terms of expectation, the seller's looking to achieve between 10.25% yield. So we're looking at about circa 130 bar on the asset. Yeah, but I mean, for this type of asset, that type of tenancy, sustainable income, as I said, world-class asset. Lots of interest at the moment, so let's see what happens.
Ish, I think you're in the game there at about 125.
Yeah, listen, I slightly out of my budget, but looks the numbers are stacking up there. I think it's a great, and of course you got the escalations in the leases,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
pushes that yield up,
100%.
in
yeah.
the near future. So there's your upside, I think.
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
property.
And Tim, just tell us about the node and the community it serves.
So look, this is on the east of Johannesburg, just south of in Germiston, and the node around it is, I mean, there's many kind of centers in that area. It's a primary residential node which services that community, and a business node which we go further into the CBD. There's also an industrial node in Germiston. So yeah, I mean, it really caters for a wide spread in the community. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that catchment area is
it's world class.
it's bigger than anything you'll see in the area. You got Lambton Square, I think, just down the road.
Yeah, which is smaller than this.
Incomparable, I think
Yeah.
this one really does stand out from the rest. Let's move on to the next property. Please contact Tim if you have any details or if you need any details from that perspective. And now we're heading through to Centurion. We've got a beautiful vacant showroom on the corner there, just opposite McDonald's. Ronald, you mentioned the location of McDonald's and how they choose it. You couldn't get more prime. This one, it used to be housed by Mercedes-Benz. They've since vacated, but the infrastructure is absolutely world-class. It's on the corner there, great exposure. Ronnie, can you take us or tell us just a bit more about the property and who's going to suit this property?
It's not an easy property. It's a beautiful property. It's probably to rebuild that property, you're going to be looking north of 150 million. So it's prime property, prime finishes. I mean, you can just have a look at them. There's sort of glass all the way around the showrooms, etc. This was home of Mercedes-Benz. They've actually have Bidvest property. They've moved the Mercedes up the road to one of the other sites. So it's lends itself to maybe like a few different, maybe a mixture of guys in the motor trade or retailers. With a nice mix in there that you can. With great showroom space, great parking, great security. There is a lot of basement parking. There's like 4,000 square meters of basement parking. So maybe somebody in the storage or other motor dealers for parking cars and retailers on the top. But it opens itself up to a lot of, and it's on 1 hectare stand.
When you mentioned retail, I mean, when I looked at the glass, I thought food lovers, I thought wellness warehouse, that type of setup. I think it could lend itself to
a
that.
nice mix of tenants there,
100%. And like I said, great exposure to that little node. You've got offices which are coming, they're on the rise again, and it's a major precinct of actually big hubs of offices in Centurion.
Very convenient. It's on Hendrick for good drive. It's easy access, and well suited to guys that are looking for those type of opportunities.
Joe, speaking of offices, where do you see the office market going? Do you see it bouncing back at all?
Yo, put me on the spot, Checkies.
I caught you sleeping there. That's
Look, I think it is going to bounce back. I mean, I think it's a very controversial topic at the moment. I think you got two directions. Some people are saying, no, there's no bounce back. People are going to go smaller. They're going to work from home. I think there's another opinion, which is a part of my opinion, which I think we as people, we naturally like to interact. You know, we like to be involved with each other. I think the office market will bounce back. I think it's going to take a bit of time. I estimated about 5 years. I think it'll bounce back in about 5 years. But I do think it'll bounce back. We naturally need to be together to make big decisions. And I think that's a big factor into, you know, why we do need to have people in the office to do big things.
Yeah. I'm actually, sorry, just to interrupt you, I'm actually on the other side of the fence there to see what Africrest and companies like that are doing at the moment to reconvert these major office parks into really world-class apartments. I think that's where it's going to go, at least for the next few years, just to kind of hemorrhage the bleeding a bit. And then, yeah, eventually we'll see kind of mixed-use precincts. That's my ideal vision of these office precincts.
Yeah.
Unless you want to add anything?
Yeah, just a quick point. I mean, I agree with your point there, but I am seeing, I think these big office spaces, these big parks, are going to shift towards mixed-use type of assets. So you don't need all the office space or the office floor, so use half of it, for example, and put in some retail to support the office space. Put apartments to support the office space, and set up a mixed-use, because you have to make it attractive for people to go to the office now. I think people demand more. So I think that's probably going to be, I think that is an interesting trend. And don't discount the delivery, the Ubers and, you know, that network. There's got to be some sort of integration where you're at the office and you're ordering food, and it's easier to collect your food. Maybe a chute pops up to your office or whatever that may be, but those are the type of innovative ideas I think will make office space more attractive as an investment class.
Yeah, and I think the property market in general is lending itself towards the unique and the creative developer at the moment, and the creative user. That's I think where the future is going, and guys who can predict that kind of trend, they're set for some big returns in the future. We are going through a hard patch at the moment, but if you ride out that weather, I think there are some positive signs in the future.
You know, just with that reconversion point of yours, I do agree that there's a market for reconversions. And that's what we're seeing in the market. We're seeing a lot of guys eating up these office spaces, converting into residential, because people always need a place to live. But we saw a very similar trend when people were converting from residential to offices, you know. And before that, in my opinion, that's what ultimately led to the crash. You know, when you get an oversupply, the demand dwindles. And then your pricings and your values dwindle. So I'm all for the reconversion. My worry is that the reconversion creates oversupply, and then the office market bounces back.
Yeah. Look, I think it's always going to go in cycles, and, you know,
Yeah.
I'm happy to take your money in the next 5 years. We'll put a bet on it and see who comes out best.
Yeah, game on.
Yeah, let's move on to the next property. We have one of the last ones on our display today in our expo. We've got another iconic centre. We've got Northcliff Corner Shopping Centre going in auction at the end of October. Ronnie, this property lends itself to that unique user, that creative developer. What can you tell us about the property?
Okay. That's probably one of the most exciting properties that I've worked on in terms of finding the buyer that's going to turn this property around, because there's great opportunity here. And you know, this property was listed at, they were looking for like 80 million. Their numbers have changed quite a bit, and I'm sure that we're going to look at serious offers now. They're going to consider all serious offers. I'm not talking reasonable. I don't want to come in with a 10 million, something stupid. But they're going to consider all serious offers. At the moment, it's collecting like 700, grossing 700K a month. There's 80 units there. I mean, some of the units are like 3,000 square meters. I mean, you can change that 80 units into 180 if you want. But this opportunity opens up to that creative mind that can turn this centre around. And you spoke about a mixed use. waiting to happen on this thing, yeah, I believe. Maybe with a residential component, sourcing, getting an anchor tenant in there. There's a gym already in there, world-class gym. There's a bowling alley, maybe one of the best in the country. And there are a lot of other little retailers, but the mix needs to be spruced up a bit, and somebody with a clever take on the properties. I mean, you saw what guys like Lieberman did in Maboneng. This is one of those properties waiting to happen, and there's a huge upside for someone. I think at the moment it's 45% occupied, 55% vacant, with that income.
And that catchment area is probably growing by the day. I mean, Northcliff is such a
Northcliff.
stable.
This used to be the prime centre in, call it the northwest, whatever. I mean, it's on Bayers North here, easy accessible. It's got multiple entrances, sits on 4 floors, ample parking. It's got like 650 parking bays. And yeah, if somebody can just turn this around, I'm looking for that guy with that mind. You know, it suits medical, it suits educational, it suits residential. There's a whole lot of avenues to look at there. And we're getting out to those guys.
Yeah, I think we've already had some good interest on this property,
100%.
and I think we're going to get even more before the auction. Very excited for that day when Ish can work his magic on the podium, you know, work something up for us. Yeah, I think that kind of concludes everything. I think we're done for the day. I've really enjoyed myself. My first time being on the live screen. Ish, thank you again for all your guidance and your mentoring skills.
Can I just add one more point,
Sure.
Keeks, before you close it off? I've just listened to my colleagues and the conversation. There's a theme that I think is coming out across all the properties on the expo. And, you know, it's all the properties they're great opportunities, but they require innovative, creative thinking from investors. They've got to be reworked somehow. Even the Shoprite, which I'm punting now, needs to be reworked somewhat from a line shop perspective. So that's the one theme. I think the opportunities are there in the market. It is a buyer's market, but the guys have to be smart and repurpose and work and rework their buildings. They've got to be innovative and creative. I think that's the one thing it's been evident for me. And linked to that is money, is finance. And it's quite opportune because we're talking about F&B as our partner and our sponsor with our expo. And, you know, they're the one bank that actually have these innovative finance products. So it's a great marriage between, you've got F&B on the one hand, and you've got this requirement for these investors to be creative on the other hand. So there's a nice marry there. And I mean, I want to encourage the people watching the show to actually take us up on that opportunity and explore the F&B finance opportunities, because they're perfect for the type of investments that are on the market and on the expo. And all the details, of course, on the website for the F&B offerings.
Yeah. Just to quickly wrap up, Mark, any final thoughts? If you want to add anything, punt a property like Ish has.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ish. As Ish correctly said, it's time for the savvy investor, buyer, to pick up on these opportunities across the spectrum and take full advantage of these yields at play and also the low interest rates. And, you know, get onto our website and see what we have to offer, as well as F&B, our partners, are prepared to look at deals and offer finance. So now is, in my opinion, the best time for anyone to buy a property in South Africa. Now is the time.
Ronnie, any final thoughts?
Just somehow I agree with Ish, repurpose properties, but no, the cream will come to the top. Those guys that are clever enough now will make the money in the future.
Ronnie, let me ask you this. If you had the money today, what property on our expo would you...
Pay off my car. No.
Yeah.
You know what, I mean,
The Shoprite.
I'd like a property, you know, I'd go with Isha's Shoprite. I would choose something close to me that I can manage.
Yeah.
You know, that I can keep my hands on. And then, you know, I don't want to invest in a property that's maybe discounted, but it's out of my reach. I want to keep close to something I can manage and look after and control.
Perfect. I'll keep you in mind.
Okay.
Jace, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just be courageous. I mean, I think those who are courageous now, they'll prosper in the future. I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's been the current, like the growing theme here. I still do think that property is holding value. and we're not looking at completely rock bottom levels. So you're going to need some give and take from both ends. But yeah, definitely the savvy investor is gonna have to get involved. Yeah. Tim, anything?
Yeah, I think for me, given the phase that we're in at the moment, there are opportunities coming to the fore which would probably never have come to the fore before. So it's really a time, like everyone has said, to look at these opportunities and really, invest at this time. But yeah, exciting times ahead. Let's see what happens. Let's go.
All right. So that kind of concludes everything. We've had a whole range of properties today, and sorry, I don't want to get you. There we go. We've had a whole range of properties today. Please contact any one of the brokers. On our website, Ish has developed a brand new website for us. Please go ahead and explore it. Contact him if there are any issues technically. But yeah, we thank you again for watching, and yeah, please get involved. Cheers.